Hello and welcome to IndiaPostLive.com, India's first live interactive web television. This is a portal where all of you can engage with us as we discuss different topics. You can send in your posts, your tweets, your audio and video comments. The hashtag IndiaPostLive and @IndiaPostLive is on your screen right now. I'm Nilanjana Banerjee, and in fact, as we are also an extension of social media's self-regulation when it comes to sensitive topics and news is what we're going to talk about today. None of us need to be convinced about the power of social media, and now even news is playing a very crucial role across social networking sites. In fact, half the users of Facebook and Twitter use these particular social media platforms to source the news. Now I'm going to talk about James Foley's murder that was aired, the tragic murder of photojournalist James Foley that was aired. It was later, of course, pulled down by Twitter. But this entire issue is raising a very sensitive question, and that of the role that social media companies play in disseminating news. Is social media self-regulatory? Should social media become self-regulatory? Or is there a risk to the freedom of expression, the freedom of democracy? These are a wide gamut of issues, I know, but we'll try and wrap up in a very short period of time. We'll take quick comments from our guests who have joined us on the conversation. But first, let's take a look at the Twitter comments that came in after this episode that I talked to you about. That is the tragic airing of James Foley's assassination. Be responsible, do not watch the video, do not distribute it to social media. So this is something that was an appeal. Love and outrage pour out on social media after James Foley video killing. I do not believe in censorship, but I believe those who promote ISIS must be, okay. The video of ISIS beheading a man, they say is a US journalist, is absolutely dark, gruesome. Not sharing, no one should share. Please do not retweet or share the video of James Foley. That is what IS wants. Do not give it to them. CNN showing stills from ISIS Foley video. Unbelievable. My Twitter account was suspended for a short period of time. Lost 30,000 followers. Thanks for those who asked. All right. So these have been some very interesting Twitter reactions to the very tragic visuals that the whole world unfortunately saw. And of course, Twitter pulled down the ISIS platform. But of course, the larger issue remains, the issue of people come to know of it. Should people come to know of it? Should it be censored? Should it not be censored? And, what about the legitimacy of it, the legitimacy of distributing news through social media platforms? I have with me in the studio Vinayak Dutt. Vinayak himself is a reporter on India Post Live, and he has some interesting things to share. Vinayak, thanks for joining us. Your stories were pulled down by Facebook?
Yeah, actually, in my previous organization, I've shared few of my stories that were a bit of anti-BJP. In those days, BJP were having that development agenda, and they had some hard Hindu core stories that they did, like in Western UP or in some parts of Rajasthan, and they were not coming up in mainstream media. So I put them on Facebook, and somebody from there reported to the Facebook, and they were pulled down, and I was blocked for 24 hours. And that has happened quite a few times. So actually, the problem with our media, mainstream media, is like they all have almost the similar owners, the corporate ownership. So anybody who has a smartphone is a journalist in himself, and anybody who gets some information just put it on the social media, and these very mainstream media, they pick and choose and the stories they like.
Okay, let's not get into the hornet's nest situation there when you talked of corporatization of media and all of that. Let's stick to social media and about censorship of social media. But you raised a good point that every one of us with smartphones, we are content creators ourselves, right? Yeah. And how we distribute the news, how we get the news, and what role do these social media platforms themselves have to play? So let's get some more reactions on that. Joining me from Lahore is columnist and journalist Aisha Sarwari. Aisha, thank you so much for joining the conversation. It's great having you again.
I'm very glad to be here. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Aisha, we are talking about this entire issue of self-regulation of social media. Now, Twitter pulling down those visuals, pulling down, that also had a lot of reactions, positive and negative. What are your thoughts?
Well, I have a bit of a different perspective in this situation, and that's because in Pakistan, you have a situation where there's a lot of, for example, religious extremism or extremism of another kind,
Right.
which creates a sort of situation where people self-regulate. First of all, I think that having social media is a very positive thing to begin with, especially in a place like Pakistan where there's very little dissenting or opposing viewpoints. There's a hegemony of a sort of central and powerful thought, and that kind of bulldozes the way through. And social media allows people who are not that well heard to have an opinion and create a bit of a cluster
Right.
of their own thoughts. So from that perspective, it's good. I'm not an expert in terms of what kind of regulations happen when in the case of James Foyer and stuff. But I know that the central issue we face is self-regulation here, where now there's a sort of crisis of there's actually a threat for people who, first it used to be a threat for just journalists, and now it's a threat for people who are using social media. If you, bring out a sort of opposing point of view, especially if it offends religious sensitivities, that creates a very big issue. And as you know, the big Pandora's box of the blasphemy law, not only do you have to watch out for your content being potentially blasphemous, but you have to watch out to make sure that you don't offend anyone. They can accuse you of
Right.
doing that, because that is sort of my grief with social media. It came out to be a very positive thing, but now it's kind of imploding because there's so much fear that's going on.
But do you think people should be ordinary people, or as journalists, we see a lot of visuals, a lot of gory visuals that we, in television and in print, we do not give it to the public. We do not allow them to see. And even if there are certain stories in which the pictures are gruesome, we inform them that these images might be disturbing. We do that. That is again a form of self-regulation. We do not want to upset people. We do not want to, create a different kind of. But do you think Twitter pulling down that video, Twitter blocking the people who were tweeting that particular video, do you think it is censorship? Do you think Twitter is resorting to censorship where it should not?
Like I said, I'm not an expert. I can just have an opinion on this. And my opinion is that, I think there should be complete neutrality. It is up to the people who are viewing a certain form or a certain medium of information for them to decide whether they want to see something or not. Their timelines are regulated by the people they follow. If something offends them, they can choose not to follow that. So I think the internet in itself provides enough gauges of control where you monitor the content that you see. And that is at the level it should be, because the moment you start pulling things down, then, you have things like, what happened with the Facebook situation where, that content was, Facebook was blocked and stuff.
So you're saying that blocking content is wrong, no matter what the self-regulation comes to the consumers, the ones who are using social media platforms, they need to self-regulate when it comes to such content. Is that what you're saying?
I'm trying to say that, obviously things are in the gray, but ideally that is the most appropriate situation in a state like this.
All right. That was very interesting, Aisha. Thank you so much for that comment. And let me try and get you some more, people who are in the social media platform to talk about that. Okay, Nitin, we have Nitin Bhatia. Nitin Bhatia is with Melt Water, and he's a social media expert. Hi, Nitin. Welcome to India Post Live. Hi.
Hi, thank you for inviting me for the show.
Hi, thanks. The pleasure is all ours. We are, an extension of social media. You are a social media expert. What would you say, pulling down sensitive content? I think social media platforms always have this, they're always stuck editorially. They have issues. Do we not? Do we not? So do you think social media is becoming self-regulatory now?
Well, you know what, I will be honest, in my previous assignment, I was a journalist as well, and the way I look at social media media platforms are the reason why social media erupted is because it gives an opportunity for people to participate in peer
Yeah.
review. Yeah, of course, in a situation where you have Facebook, you have Twitter, you have YouTube, you might be aware that YouTube recently, in the past, it has take videos before they are finally uploaded. I think so, as well as Twitter, because it's only a 130 character medium, and Facebook, which is still very open as a platform, it's kind of very difficult to regulate these kind of content. Now, from a catch-22 situation for journalists, where Twitter becoming instant and the moment anything comes across, people just post a 130 characters and you get news out of it. I think journalists rely on this kind of information today. Today, it became a rage because it was on Twitter once, and then journalists analyzed and understood that this is a big story. Then they started going on various channels, and then it became viral because it's a correlation between social media and mainstream media. That's the reason why contents become viral. So I personally feel that as far as regulation in social media at this stage is crucial, but it will hinder to such kind of content which might be necessary for the journalists to actually report this stuff.
Right. All right. I think Vinayak has something to say. Vinayak, do you have any comment?
Yeah, I guess there are some fundamentalist forces who were considered as fringe elements sometimes ago when social media never had that boom a couple of years back. Now these are the forces who have used the social media to the best.
Right.
They can be the hardcore Tamil elements or the Khalistanis, Kashmiris or the hardcore Muslims. Even this hardcore ISIS. They have utilized this social media. So if we are talking about the self-regulation comes up from the maturity, and I don't think the people of South Asia have a track record of that kind of maturity. So
you don't think South Asians have
no,
that
I don't
kind?
think so.
So you think that Twitter should monitor content that is
I
going
guess
up?
for some time Twitter because these are the things that have come from the West. I may sound as a bit orthodox, but this is a fact. Like Twitter and Facebook, we guys got to know about them. We never invented them, so we are not the originators.
Now we
so,
are the highest users.
Of course, we are the highest because of our population. No.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Let me. That's interesting actually. Vishal Sagar. Vishal is also a social media expert. Good, bad, and weird. Vishal, hi. Welcome to India Post Live.
Hi, thanks for inviting me.
Hi, pleasure all ours. Vishal, you just heard Vinayak say that Indians and South Asians in overall are not mature enough to handle sensitive content on social media. So the particular, like say Twitter India or a Twitter Pakistan, or they should regulate the content that is going out there. Do you agree with this statement? Controversial statement hai.
I kind of agree with what Vinayak is saying, and I'll give you two examples of why I agree
Sure,
with him.
sure.
First one was, this is a couple of years back, I was on my timeline, there were, my friends sharing stuff in which was basically, again a gruesome imagery, wherein they said, the news read there were 83 Christians killed by Muslims, right? And it was somewhere in Kenya. And it was saying that, they have been burned badly and the bodies have been charred and things like that. I did a basic, and people were sharing it like crazy, and they had this opinion about this community and everything. I just did a basic Google search, and it turned out to be that there was an oil tanker that exploded near that village, and it was innocent villagers that got killed. And those were the images being circulated with a wrong message. And another very good example of this is that, so many times it has happened that on WhatsApp or on your SMS feed and stuff like that, on any date, it just suddenly comes out that today is the day when Bhagat Singh, Sukhdev and Rajguru sacrificed their lives for the. But that's wrong information. It's not that date. I mean, come on, you cannot circulate this information on 11th February saying that this is the date, right? So people just ride on that wave without even thinking. I mean, searching before sharing is far more important to stop people spreading such news. I mean, at the end of the day, as Vinayak said, that we are all journalists. We are also media vehicles today, right? So if somebody is riding on me to promote wrong message and just being party to it, so that's wrong. I need to stop that.
Very interesting, very interesting. But you know, Vishal and Nitin and Vinayak and Aisha, in China, you know, there was hardly any. You talked of the South Asia angle, and you know, I'm talking of our big brother in the continent. China, in fact, did not censor the video. It was
Everything in the mainstream media in China is controlled.
is controlled. Yeah, China
So,
is controlled. But this
and-
particular video I'm talking about, the James Foley video.
We cannot we cannot single out a particular video. We have to see in a whole perspective. And I guess in China, the social media is far more controlled than what we have in India. In India, we have a prime minister who says anything on social media, and what he says is taken as a gospel. So, like he said, like Bhagat Singh and the martyrdom day has been shown, and
Yeah, when wrong information is given, that's obviously responsible. That is definitely very responsible. I'm talking of sensitive content. In fact, I have. I mean, the issue. You know, why I brought up the issue that Vinayak raised. I kind of latched onto it simply because the New York Post front page picture was the ISIS militant holding a gun to James Foley's, holding a knife to the image. We have blurred the image on India Post Live. We do not want to disturb anybody with that image, but it was a very graphic image of the knife being held to James Foley's throat. And that was New York Post. So is it fair to say that it's only in South Asians? I mean, that's the question I'm asking. Is that fair? They are doing it and they've done it in their print.
No, I don't think it's South Asian. I think
Yeah,
it's
exactly. It's
it is just a region or a country specifically.
all right. No, because I do understand, and Aisha also pointed out, the sensitivity of her country and the issues.
make a point. Like
Yeah.
I see, if we have one picture from New York Times, I can
New
show
York
you
Post.
New York Post. I can show you 100 of pictures from our eminent newspapers. Those who are giving such I should say blasphemy images. So it's not about South Asians. It's about the immaturity we have. See, let us not go into this debate, but I guess there is a bit of immaturity in the people who are handling the social media, and I guess they should be goshed and they should be guided properly, if not censored.
All right. Nitin and Vishal, very quickly before I come back to Aisha, Vishal, let me ask you this first. Do you think that since Twitter keeps tweeting stories as it evolves, right? It's a platform. It's a platform, and as the story is evolving, we keep getting tweets. Do you think that can change with the sentiment and with the with the way it is developing? Can Twitter play any role in changing the manner in which the story is progressing? Because Twitter cannot be sued. Twitter cannot be sued for libel because it is only the publisher of what comes up in people's feeds. But can Twitter have any say in the manner in which the story is progressing, keeping people's sentiments in mind?
Well, the way, see, the point of the social media is that it's a media governed by people. It is people's media in true sense.
Right.
Any publisher can actually govern or censor the whole thing. It's a very classic example that they say even in Twitter that there is no point deleting a tweet because somebody somewhere has already taken a screenshot, right?
Right.
And he's going to do that. So I don't think any medium per se can dominate or change the way a story unfolds or story is told. It's up to people that how they act maturely or how they want the stories to unfold.
Okay, so you're also saying that there's no point in blocking. Aisha also said that blocking content is wrong. Nitin, very quickly, your views on this?
Well, I would be very honest, and I actually was listening to Vinayak and Vishal as well. One of the things which we are talking about is that Twitter has around 18 million people right now in India, and we are talking about a very large number on Facebook as well. It's not comparison. It's not a comparison of apple to apple over here. I heard Vinayak talking about that it's right or it's wrong, because when we talk about publications in India, we have around 3,000 publications or maybe 4,000 news outlets in India which are producing content, whereas here we are talking about in millions. Now, in that scenario, I would say that you cannot really control it that way. Yes, you can become as regulatory as Pakistan or China, but in a country like India, it becomes viral. The reason is because it's free and it's easier to share. So I think so that way the control is not possible. But on the other hand, I think so, as I mentioned to you earlier, reliance on such kind of information is so important today that I think so everybody relies on Twitter first. If there is an earthquake, if there is something,
Yes.
people actually look on Twitter rather than going
Exactly.
on a television channel. And the other impact of such kind of things is that the broadcast value. Now, every particular person, like an Amitabh Bachchan tweeting something, has an immediate broadcast value of 8 lakh or 9 lakh people.
Absolutely.
So, one way or the other, it's crucial that such kind of mediums carry on the way it is. Else, it is again killing the whole idea of being independent.
Right. All right. All right. Thanks. Thanks for that perspective. In fact, I would like to talk to Aisha, but before that, I would also like to, make a small, show you a small infographic on the kind of usage that we're talking about regarding these social media platforms. And, it's in fact news consumption across social sites. If you just take a look at that, Twitter is the second highest among those who get their news on the site. I was just telling you that it's Facebook and Twitter, of course, Reddit. Reddit is the highest. You have Twitter, Facebook, Google+, Tumblr, YouTube. So people are, so many, this is the percentage of people who are sourcing their news from these sites. So the broadcast value that Nitin was talking about and the reliability factor that people was talking about, this is where I would like to bring Aisha in. Aisha, in your country, how the propaganda sites, the propaganda that happens through Twitter and through Facebook, what kind of attraction does it get among people? Do people retweet? Do people respond angrily? How does it work there really?
I think it works actually in, like I said, every kind of group, every thought group has a bit of a cluster. Before it used to be sort of like, I think it perhaps started off as a liberal vehicle to bring about sort of like a dissenting or refusing sort of point of view. And then it kind of got to be more mainstream. And now as it's more mainstream, we even have a lot of the religious groups or fringe groups using Twitter to get their point forward. Yes. And each of these groups have their own sizable following. So for example, like when one point of view kind of collides with another, you have, the whole trolling system where you kind of are not accepting of another opposing viewpoint and you bring them down, or you do a character assassination attack, or you bring them down through personal attacks. Right. So that, I think that entire process of the lack of civility is going on. To an extent, social media reflects what society is, but also to an extent it is a cruder version of society, because people think that they can get away with things on social media that they cannot get away in person. So generally things become much more crass. There's very little courtesy. Point of views are not discussed, people are discussed, opinions are not discussed, characters are discussed. So it just brings, I think it creates a dumbing down of the narrative overall. And that is a dangerous trend. I think the solution to that is to bring as many credible people to the front and keep using this medium, not give up on it, because I'm very, very hopeful that this is, in a way, a democratic vehicle, because information is a prerequisite to democracy. Yes. And it's very important to empower everybody to have their own mouthpiece. No matter how much you don't believe in their mouthpiece, they have a right to have it.
Absolutely. That is very nicely summed up by Aisha. Thank you so much, Aisha. We will have to wrap up the conversation, but I think you absolutely summed up what most of us believe. I'm sure, Vinayak, you agree with Aisha that blocking is not the solution, but
see, blocking,
we need to evolve.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say. Yeah. Like, we are still in a very primitive stage. We have just got to know about this media, and it will take us some time to make the best use of it.
Yeah, and Aisha also said it's a reflection of society. So exactly. The crassness, the rudeness.
I was trying to say, like she said, that it's a very crude reflection of a society. So, I guess if turning towards a bit of politics, the BJP made the best use of social media in the past general elections, and there were many people who were saying like Congress were completely ridiculing it, like they are only there on the social media, they are not there on the ground. But at the end of the day, it was in front of us. Like,
yeah, the results were in front of us to see.
Yeah.
All right, Aisha, thank you so much. Let me just get final comments from Nitin. Nitin, so you think that we should not definitely, I mean, as a social media expert, you will agree that there is no sense in giving up on this media. But would you tell me, can I just ask you just one question right now? If you got the James Foley's assassination video, the murder video on your tweet, would you retweet it or would you delete it?
It's a very, you're actually putting in a situation over here.
Exactly. It's a question we're all grappling with, Nitin. It's a question we're all grappling with, and which is why we thought we should talk about it.
The thing is this, that, if I actually really take very clear about my journalist sense of who are there, I would definitely like the story to be reported so that people are aware of what ISIS is doing. And if I find Twitter or social media which I can do it, I will certainly do it. But if you ask me personally that will I be the person actually recording something like this, I will say no. But if if somebody who has actually put it across, it's very important that it goes to the right medium and it can be regulated accordingly. So if somebody might not have reported about anything like this, it would have never been off the Twitter chart altogether. Had it been done by a person who has only 1 or 2 followers, it might not have been even noticed. So I personally feel that such kind of content is, of course, I would never recommend anybody to do something like this.
Right.
But until it is posted, nobody can even be aware of it. So you would have never come to know that somebody like him actually was assassinated in this way.
Yeah, beheaded. Yes, right. All right. Nitin, thank you so much. Nitin, thank you so much for joining the conversation with your perspective. Let me get in Vishal now from Good, Bad and Weird. Vishal, my same question to you. Would you retweet that video? Simple. Just yes or no.
Actually, probably yes, I will retweet. And I'll keep it short. I just want to give you an example on this. It's a very famous picture in which there's this small kid in Kenya or in Africa somewhere dying, and there is a vulture.
Yeah, I remember. We all got it. Yeah.
Photographer chose to take that shot, and after a few months, he committed suicide. So now that talks a lot about the photographer. But then with his picture, he actually showed what is happening in the world. So we cannot close our eyes, right, to what is happening.
Right.
If I close my eyes, that doesn't mean it's not happening. It is happening.
All right. I think very, very aptly put. Very aptly put. I think that was Somalia, if not Kenya. I don't remember, but I think it was Somalia. So Vinayak, as I said in the beginning of the show, I think social media companies, social media platforms, every day they struggle on how to handle sensitive content. And I think the struggle is still on. But as you said, in South Asia, we have a long way to go. Final comments from you before we wrap up.
Yeah,
are you optimistic about where we are going with social media?
Yeah, completely optimistic. Like, if we say the trend is only increasing, more people are coming. So, when more people come, they'll have a kind of discussions, and surely this will improve, I guess.
This will improve. All right. So, thank you so much, Vishal, Nitin and Aisha for joining the conversation. Vinayak, great having you in the studio. Sorry to hear that your stories were pulled down by Facebook, but as you yourself said, we are maturing. Our stories will probably be seen and there can be comments on it, but we will have to find some way out where one knows how exactly to get out very sensitive media to the public. Thanks so much for watching the conversation. The conversation continues on IndiaPostLive.com through your posts, your comments and your tweets. Take care.